The People versus David Athony Burke, a star musician charged with ending the life of 14-year-old Celeste Hernandez Rivas. Will prosecutors be able to prove it? Will prosecutors be able to prove this case? Welcome to the Margaret McLean Show. In this video, I've created a visual timeline slideshow for you guys. So I'm going to lay it all out for you as I would when I'd present a case to the jury as a prosecutor. So this is a very circumstantial case, right? Therefore, both sides are going to pay very close attention to the timelines. And timelines are critical because they establish a clear chronological sequence of events. And I've identified gaps in this timeline. So as the case progresses, we'll fill in those gaps together. So be sure to subscribe because I'll provide you with the latest based on a lawyer's perspective. All right, let's go to slide number 1. Oh, wait, before we do that, actually, I'm going to give you guys a quick recap. Not everybody is up to date on this sensational case. So here's a recap, and then we'll jump into the timeline. So it goes back to last September when the decomposing, dismembered body of 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez was discovered inside 2 cadaver bags stuffed in the front truck of a Tesla. So the car had been towed from the Hollywood Hills area in LA, where it had been abandoned for weeks on the street. So employees of the tow lot noticed a foul odor coming from the car, and they called the police. The Tesla containing Celeste's body was registered to David Athony Burke. So he goes by the name D4vd, pronounced David. And he was, not anymore, a rising star in the music industry. So let's go to our timeline of events here. And here we go for the timeline slide number 1, okay? This is important because according to prosecutors, Burke began abusing Celeste at age 13. All right, so that's when they started. And this is from count 2 of the complaint. And it reads, on or about September 7th, 2000, and of course I can't read very well, 2024, in the county of Los Angeles, the crime of continuous abuse in violation of Penal Code Section 288.5A, a felony, was committed by David Athony Burke, who did unlawfully engage in 3 and more acts of lascivious, of substantial conduct, I can't say that on YouTube, as defined in the Penal Code, and 3 more of lewd and lascivious acts to a child, okay? And that's our victim, a child, that's Celeste, under the age of 14 years, while the defendant resided with him and he had reoccurring access to the child. So that's a very important date, and they must have information because the way I'm looking at it is, 9/7/23, okay? That's the date. And Celeste, so David Burke was born on March 28th, 2005. So at that date here, it makes him 19. Legally, he's an adult. If he's with Celeste, she was born September 7th, 2010, and this date would be her 13th birthday. So prosecutors deliberately chose her birthday here. And here's another picture of the couple together. I mean, which I think that was taken later on, but still it's awful. So let's jump to the criminal complaint here, which is count 2, okay? And in count 2, you see on September 7th, right, 2023, I just read that. We're talking, these are very serious crimes. So that's the entirety of count 2. I used to prosecute, okay, cases like this, offenders like David. This is a heinous crime. He's having an intimate relationship with a child under age 14. I'll tell you, something like that can absolutely ruin the life of a child. Now, she was ultimately, her life was extinguished, but anytime this type of crime happens, I don't care, you can have the best therapy money can buy, and you've changed that child's life forever. In addition, from what we heard at the last hearing, there was a significant amount of child P on his devices, very explicit images, lewd, lascivious, and at this point, we're not sure whether those images depict Celeste, but I wouldn't be surprised. The prosecution will ultimately paint the picture that David was addicted to this type of P. I can't say that word again on YouTube, so we're talking explicit imagery, very exploitive videos, photos, and honestly, in my opinion, that makes David Burke, David, the worst kind of predator. Prosecutors have more than 40 terabytes, by the way, more than 40 terabytes of data. So you might be wondering, what is a terabyte? It's a unit of digital information. Storage is equal to 1 trillion bytes, all right? So 1 terabyte can hold roughly 1,000 copies of the Encyclopedia Britannica. Photos up to 300,000 images, video up to 500 hours, documents approximately 85 million Microsoft Word documents. Audio can have 17,000 hours of music. Now, that's just 1 terabyte. Imagine 40 times that. That's how much data the prosecution has collected against David Burke. So here, April 5th, 2024, on the timeline, Celeste Rivas Hernandez is age 13 and in the 7th grade. She was officially reported missing by her family from their home in Lake Elsinore, California. You know, she's a 7th grader, 13 years old. Questions I have linger. How did they meet? I understand they met online. Was it gaming? I know he was David Burke, before he became a rising music guy, he was a Fortnite player, and he actually wanted to be a professional Fortnite player. So, and that's how he ultimately made song, was for his Fortnite montage. Now, I can't imagine you have a 13-year-old who's running away. Being a parent myself, this is super scary. I wonder, did she get in a fight with her parents? Did she pack a bag? Did she slip out in the middle of the night? At some point, her parents knew she had a boyfriend named David, by the way. So, and here's her missing persons poster that they had put out at some point, and there's the date, 4/5/24, last time she was seen. And now we go to, of course, April 11th, 2025 is when Burke performs at the music festival Coachella. Now that is, I'm just showing you a timeline, but what I also want to show you here is a video I can't help but laugh at. So I'm going to switch to video mode and show you what made him even more famous, made this performance go viral, is this video. So here we go. I got to play that again. That's, I got to play that again. Hold on. absolutely crazy. So on to the next slide. So he performs at the music festival at Coachella, April 11th. All right. And, but he's still having this relationship with the underage Celeste. And let's see. Here she is. So sad. Such a beautiful young woman. And here on, let's see, April 24th. So April 24th, Burke posts a reel on Instagram announcing his Withered World tour tickets are officially on sale. And at 4:30 p.m., Burke streams on Twitch, "Put the album in the bag, bro." All right, so he's starting his tour there. That's April 24th. And is all excited to go on stage. And now, whoops, I've gone ahead of myself. So this is what I was looking for. So April 23rd, the day before, all right, prosecutors allege that Celeste arrived at Burke's Hollywood Hills home. And this is the very last time anyone heard from her. It's so sad. So they picked that date, April 23rd, 2025, and they are calling that, here's the complaint, the day of her M. So here you go, count one. On or about April 23rd, 2025, in the county of Los Angeles, the crime of M, in violation of Penal Code Section 187A, a felony, was committed by David Athony Burke, who did unlawfully and with malice aforethought M. Celeste, a human being. All right, so that's the major date, and it will be interesting to see how prosecutors are able to prove that date. They put it in their timeline. I imagine they will have digital forensic evidence as well as experts testifying from the medical examiner's office, but still, it's a circumstantial case, so it will be very difficult. So here we go. That's the date, allegedly, right? April 23rd. The very next day, he's excited. He posts a reel on Instagram announcing his concert. So what happens to poor Celeste? Did he M her the day before? Did he extinguish her life the day before? It's awful. So I also think as a prosecutor that David will appear extremely callous, and it actually goes to his state of mind and motive. He's so focused here on his career the very next day. So he's thinking, all right, like back up a little bit, right? He sees he's got this big tour coming and he's got a problem. He's got to get rid of his problem, and that's Celeste, someone who's about to expose him for a real serious crime. I mean, sexual relations with a child, right? This guy is more concerned about his career than this poor young woman. So he's got to take care of the problem because, in my opinion, the motive is he is worried that she's going to expose him for very serious charges. And someone must have leaked or told him that she was about to go to the police. And maybe she did herself. We really don't know. So therefore, we have April 24th. But in the meantime, where is she? All right. April 25th, Friday evening, we've got the next day, he goes to, well, whoops, I forgot to say, all right, so we forgot the party. So this is the Withered World Party, April 24th, 8 o'clock. It's a big deal at 100 Thieves in LA. And it's interesting because, think about it. We've got a big party for his tour. Now, if anybody out there has photographs from this party, please let me know or send them to me. I looked and I couldn't find any specifically, but I imagine his managers were there, and by now he's got an entourage, so they were there. Who else was at this party? And also, I'm wondering, where was Celeste's body? And who is in the know? All right, who could he have done this all by himself? Who could have helped him snuff her life out? I mean, it's possible he did it all by himself, but I find that hard to believe. There were 3 investigative grand juries in this case, and I got to believe someone helped him do this, or somebody was in the know. So, and by the way, David's manager, who was likely at this party, was grilled for 2 days at one of the grand juries. And I'm sure we'll find out more. I'm sure he'll be a witness on the stand. And as you know, his record company and managers, they all dropped him. So we've got this April 24th. And now we go to April 25th. He flies to New York City. He's got a Band Lab pop-up, right? And that's in Union Square, New York City. What is Band Lab? So it's a promotional event designed to celebrate music releases through interactive installations. So if you're the artist, you pop up and offer fans an experience. The pop-ups feature artist-focused activities like recreated recording spaces, custom listening stations, rare memorabilia, and live performances. So this 2025 event for David featured a recreation of the closet where he first recorded, which was his baby sister's closet. And he also had rare performance outfits. So it's interactive. Here's the 25th. There was 2 days of it. So he performed, he also had a performance. And there he is right there. What is he thinking, by the way, right? The Band Lab continued on Saturday. So again, these are some of the pictures of it. Creative workshops, Q&As, artists showcases. And he did, by the way, when he first recorded his montage for Fortnite, Romantic Homicide, he did it through Band Lab, which is quite interesting. So now we go from New York City to his hometown of Houston, and that's April 27th. He flies to his hometown for an evening performance at White Oak Music Hall. Now, David moved to Houston when he was 13 years old, and he was actually homeschooled after that. He wanted to be a professional gamer on Fortnite, so he composed music for his montage while playing Fortnite because he was getting copyright strikes by using other people's music. His mother actually suggested, why not make your own music? He was musically inclined. He was very good at playing the flute. In fact, he played it in his middle school band and grew up listening to and singing gospel music. He also made Romantic Homicide, like I said, in his sister's walk-in closet on his iPhone. And it got over 75 million streams and made it to the Billboard Hot 100. The song ultimately peaked at number 4 on Billboard's Hot Rock and Alternative Songs chart, and Burke signed with Dark Room and Interscope Records. So it was quite a rise to fame, from somebody sitting behind his computer to fame. So now he flies back from Houston to New York City again, which is crazy. So he really, if he allegedly M'd Celeste, he's so busy. What was he doing? I mean, where was the body? And I'd also like to know where the M occurred. Was it in the trunk of his car the whole time? I have a hard time believing that. But he's running back and forth. Does he simply not have time to dispose of her body? That's my question. That's one of the gaps in the timeline that I'd like to know about. from the prosecution. So he flies back to Brooklyn, New York City, and he plays. Here he is. Tuesday, he had a live performance at Brooklyn Steel Venue, and there he is performing. So there we go there. And next, let's see. So there he is in New York City. Now here's an interesting gap in the timeline. From April 30th to May 4th, he's in the LA area. No public information as to his exact location. His digital footprint will ultimately tell the story. So that's what the prosecutors are going to come up with in this case. And that's why I'm wondering, what is he doing at this time? Well, here's the next slide, which is on this date here is when prosecutors allege the mutilation, dismemberment of Celeste's body occurred on or about this day. All right, so I think that any time leading up to this particular date would do it. So, you know, I'd like to know, where did it occur? According to the autopsy report that I read, it seems there would have been a lot of blood. So, and also on this date, which is interesting, at 11 o'clock, he posted this Instagram story. So he's hanging out in LA, right? And he posts that, you know, which skateboard should I get? He's obsessed with Hello Kitty. So should I get that one or that one? Which, if he did in fact dismember Celeste, it's just, again, shows how ultimately callous he is. So this is, you know, this is May 5th. It's 6 days after he performed in New York City. This date is going to become crucial. And again, I expect the prosecution will produce digital forensic evidence to match David up to the location where they believe Celeste was dismembered. Of course, the defense is going to try to poke holes in this part of the story, that he couldn't have been there, but we'll see what they have. So then here, May 15th, he travels to Seoul, South Korea. But what on earth does he do with Celeste? I mean, did he get rid of her? Did he stuff her in the trunk of the Tesla and compartmentalize it? Did he put it out of his mind so we'd go on tour and focus on that? Did he simply run out of time? Did he plan to? I mean, obviously, if she was dismembered in several places, I don't understand it. I don't understand. I think he ran out of time. And there's also information that he had a burn cage. Was he going to ultimately burn her? What happened? So he's having fun in South Korea here. Very disturbing. Wednesday, Thursday, he performs in South Korea again, and with the K-pop stars. And if you look at the middle picture, I'd be a little bit worried about that. And by the way, thank you, Wildlife Stories. I appreciate that. Great show. Thank you for watching. So going back to this, I can't help but think, where is Celeste? What did he do with Celeste? So now we have, so we're going all the way from April 30th, right? That's when we don't know where he was, April 30th to May 4th. And then we had that she disappeared. May 5th is when they believe she was mutilated and dismembered. Then we have, he travels on May 15th, okay? So all summer he tours. He's busy, he's touring. And then we come to, again, South Korea, But then we come to September 8th is when Celeste's decomposing and dismembered body is discovered in the front trunk of Burke's Tesla. So my question is, here's some of the details too. The location, the car was parked on Bluebird Avenue in Hollywood Hills. The car was reported on August 26th. It was cited by the police, like, a ticket on August 27th, and again on September 3rd, and towed on September 5th. The car was stored at the Hollywood tow lot, and then, of course, the workers discovered the foul odor, and Celeste was discovered in the trunk on September 8th, 2025. And of course, this Tesla was registered to David Athony Burke, who was on tour at this time. So the question I have is, how long was her dismembered body in that trunk? It's surprising to me that it was in the trunk all summer. So the autopsy findings, I think, are interesting. So the law enforcement obtained a court order in November of 2025, preventing the medical examiner's office from releasing its autopsy finding, which the medical examiner's office opposed because they wanted to be transparent. The LA County Medical Examiner's Office determined that Celeste died from multiple penetrating injuries caused by sharp objects, and ruled the manner of death a homicide, right? She suffered 2 penetrating wounds to her torso, right abdomen, with injury to her liver, left chest, and disruption to her adjacent ribs, bilateral dismemberment of her upper and lower extremities. So they also documented a distinct tattoo, and this is how they identified her, on her right index finger that read, "shh." And a similar tattoo was later seen in a photograph of Burke that surfaced after Rivas was identified. So they had matching tattoos. According to the DA's office, I can't believe this, but Burke allegedly dismembered Celeste on May 5th, 2025, and kept her remains in the vehicle's trunk for months before they were found on September 8th of 2025, according to the DA's office. I know there was speculation that maybe her body parts were frozen, but I didn't see that in the autopsy report. Now, the part that raised my suspicion, even way back in September, was who in their right mind would commit M, mutilate a body, dismember it, and then stuff it in a cadaver bag in the trunk of the car, like registered to you. It sounds absolutely stupid to me. And then it was left parked in the street for several weeks until it was finally towed. I'll get into this in another show, but I think the defense is going to pounce all over that. They're going to say he was set up for another sinister reason. So what happens next? So this is, of course, the car being towed away, and here's some shots from the actual police scene. And then we have, of course, it's very sad, but nothing happens for a long time. So Celeste's family, here's Celeste again. It's very sad to me that her family had to wait so long for the police to investigate this case. So it took from September, October, November, December, January, February, March to April for them to make an arrest. Now, we know there were grand juries, at least 3 investigative grand juries, and they had to go through, as we know, a lot of stuff on his phones and devices. So I will take this off. Okay, let's see here. There I am. I feel bad for her family because they ended up, as I said, convening 3 secret investigative grand juries over the summer when he was touring. These grand juries, again, have significant investigative powers. They can compel witnesses to testify, subpoena documents, evidence, and they can even question witnesses. However, this type of grand jury can't return indictments. Some of the witnesses who were compelled to testify were Burke's family members and Neo Langston, a member of Burke's entourage who was arrested in Montana after he attempted to avoid appearing for the LA grand jury. So I wonder about Langston, and I will be doing a show on him because it's my understanding that he only took 40 minutes in the grand jury. So I'm wondering if he pled the fifth. I still have a problem believing that David Burke acted alone in this, all right? So ultimately, what happened on the timeline, he was arrested by the LAPD just recently on April 16th, 2026 at a residence in Hollywood. Again, after a long investigation, he was arraigned on M charges, and the criminal complaint alleges special circumstances, including lying in wait, killing for financial gain, and ending a witness's life. Those enhancements open the door for the harshest penalties, life without parole or the death penalty. But there has been a moratorium on the death penalty in California, so that will not likely happen. So as we know, Burke entered a not guilty plea, and he's represented by attorneys Blair Burke, Marilyn Bednarski, and Regina Peter, who claim he's completely innocent. And of course, we know that they will pick through this timeline and attack it, all right? And I will do something on, I'd like to get a defense attorney on with me to talk about what they would do defending this case. I know what I would do. As a prosecutor, we always had to know the other side. And also, by the way, Burke's family is standing by him, and they're from Houston. So coming up next in court is a preliminary hearing where a judge will hear testimony. It will be limited, and the judge will also examine evidence to determine whether there's probable cause for these charges. All right, it's probable cause because he has not been indicted yet. The grand juries did not indict him. In the meantime, the defense counsel has requested discovery, and in my opinion, their legal strategy will be to scrutinize the chain of custody for that Tesla, how it ended up in that tow yard, and who had access to the vehicle between the time Celeste disappeared and the time workers reported the foul odor. And that's it as far as the timeline goes. But as pieces come together, so as digital evidence comes out, so we can see what he was doing during those days when we didn't know what he was doing, I will add that to my timeline. And that is it for today. Please subscribe and press the like button. I'll be streaming again on this one shortly. Thank you very much for watching The Margaret McLean Show. Bye for now.